I was neighbors with one of the math teachers, Sue Huffer. She lived across the street from me. And she had a son, same age as mine, Chris. They were toddlers. And I watched this woman. She was very industrious. She was building fences on her property and that kind of stuff. And then we kind of met in the middle of the street and talked. She talked a lot about the school she taught at. She taught math and she was brilliant. So she talked about it quite a bit. And at the end of that first year, she came to me and said, they're looking for someone to start an instrumental music program. Well, I was teaching an IPS. And we set up an interview. I interviewed first time, and then I kept calling her. You know. Alice said, how should we set this up? We're just gonna, whatever kids want to play in the band. And I said, no, they all need to play in the band. So you make it compulsory. Well, no, we can't do that. And by the time October came around, everybody had their instruments. Everybody was playing 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, minus 2 or 3 kids, but everybody else played. By the 3rd year, I started the cadet band, which was 4th grade, and that was compulsory. They did agree, okay, 4th grade's going to be compulsory. And at the same year, 3rd grade became the string orchestra, and it was compulsory. So in 3rd grade, you played on strings, and when you went into 4th grade, you did winds and some percussion. Then 5th grade, middle school, it's an elective, but the expectation was you will all play. You're going to play something, and they did. So I'm not sure that the original idea was that it was going to be a big program. I think she would have been happy with a handful of kids making music. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger, because I don't do things on a small scale. So when I'm teaching music history and we're doing Gustav Holst, for instance, we're in the 20th century. These kids, so I'd play different movements out of the planets, and then they would always come up and hover around this new CD player, because those were pretty new at the time. They're writing things down. May I borrow that CD? I mean, that's the thing. If you can get a student who either comes in the next day and says, I stopped by the record store and picked this up, or now you can get online, watch video and that kind of stuff. If they take that out of the classroom and bring it back, then you've done something. And they do that a lot here. The thing that I was so much a better musician and teacher and everything after my experience here. I carried everything that I learned here over the 9 years I was here. What I discovered here, though, was how quick they picked it up, and this intense need to study the whole thing. I mean, it got to a point, I remember this. I was teaching second grade, 2-year-olds, and I would go in I had an Ovation guitar. I'd sit on the floor with these little guys and they'd sit around me. Sometimes they'd sit on you so that they could help strum or whatever. But I remember I had a capo, and I'd move the capo up and down and play, and then I'd move it to whatever. And one of the little 2-year-olds said, why are you doing that? Well, it helps me change key. Right now I'm singing like Raffi, now I want to sing like, how does that work? By the end of the 20-minute class, we were discussing Pythagoras and the theory of the shortened string. And I'm going, look, there are 20, here's 20 frets, let's go to fret 10. It's an octave high. You divide it down the octave and so on, and they were just fascinated. Now, you don't find that in many places. Even teaching theories and things like that, everything that I learned here, I transferred it on. And the joke is that when I'm at JMU, then they let me lecture like young brass students and student teachers and things like that. All of it were theories here that not only we discuss, but then we put into practice. That doesn't happen very often. And there is a collegial thing happening here, which you don't find in many, many schools. That I knew every teacher here. And if you heard somebody was doing something innovative, can I come in your classroom and watch this? Well, yes. So there was a real sharing. I'm sure it's still the same way. And you grow as an educator every day at this school. There was never a morning I got up and said, oh gosh, I got to go to Sycamore today. Never, ever. And that was the problem when leaving here, there was no life after this. Niall Kardatsky was my bar for heads of school. It had to be, And every principal I'd meet after that, he didn't hit the Kardatsky bar. Of course, where was I going to go? And I introduced myself to Dr. Rooney at JMU, and I brought my portfolio and I had my CDs. And I'm interviewing him, he's interviewing me because I want to finish my master's with him. And I said, "You want to listen to my CD?" And he said, "Sure." And he listens to it, and he's looking at my portfolio, and he closes it. "You aren't going to find this here." And I said, I figured that. It is a different school. It's entirely unique. There's no other place like it.